Okay, so let's make a start here. Thanks for coming and thanks for being here. I'm very excited to be sharing all about Peru and the upcoming trip that I'm hosting in April 2027, and excited to talk about the itinerary. So I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully these things work the way I'm expecting it to. So I'd love to know, Nicole, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. I love it when things work.
It's always nice.
Yeah, it is nice. Okay, from the beginning. All right, here we go. So what I'm going to do is share about the itinerary, and I guess a few other little logistical things. Talk a little bit about Peru as a destination, my experience when I went to Peru last year. And if you've got any questions at any point in time, just feel free to jump in, unmute yourself and ask any questions, because I'm very happy to be stopped along the way. And yeah, I'm very good at going off topic, so happy to do that. And what was I going to say? Something. Nope, forgotten. Doesn't matter. Oh, that's right. I was just going to say I put lots of pictures in here because I think pictures actually tell a story as much as, you know, the things that I've got to say. Because I think one of the things about Peru as a destination, we know that there's a big cultural aspect, but we also know that there's epic landscapes, and the landscapes that we will experience when we're there are incredible everywhere we go. So right from like landing in Lima and what you see from the city center, and, you know, through to the flight to Cusco, even like in Cusco, just out of Cusco, like the whole thing is going to be spectacular. So I've put in here lots of photos so you can get a bit of a glimpse into what we will see along the way. But I guess in terms of starting out with why Peru, Peru is full of landscape, as I talked about, incredible, rugged, wild, really, oh, sorry, isn't it? Might be a person coming in here. Yep, Mel's coming soon. Yeah, wild landscapes, really authentic. While it's, you know, there are obviously trails that have been created and lots of tourist or locations where tourists will visit, it is still very much still being discovered. And that's really cool to see, particularly when you're out hiking. You know, even on the Inca Trail, they talk about the different tracks that have just been discovered nearby, and how, you know, there's all these new ruins that are still being discovered today. And you can almost understand why, because there's just so much scrub and greenery everywhere that and the valleys and, you know, mountains everywhere. It's unsurprising that they're still discovering things. So I think that makes it really cool and really unique, but also the history of it. So yeah, like they're discovering these ruins that have been there for hundreds of thousands of years. And you know, as you will have seen, you know, photos of Machu Picchu, it's exactly the same. Like they just, you know, discover these spaces that are, you know, you can just see that villages of people, like there were full communities living there, which is really incredible to walk through and discover and be part of. So Peru is absolutely one of the world's greatest places to go for adventure travel, particularly anything hiking related, jungle, that real, like I said, rugged, authentic sort of travel experience, walking through the Andes or trekking through the Andes. The altitude, the scale of everything is just enormous, and hopefully you'll grasp some of that when you see some of the photos that I've shared in this slideshow. But you really do just feel like a very insignificant little thing walking through the mountains. And I think one of the things that struck me most when I was there was the constant state of awe that I was in. And even when I was like dying of lack of oxygen, you know, trekking up the mountains, you just stop a minute, turn around, and like just take a moment. And I think that's one of the most incredible things. I think that about travel in general, but it was probably one, it really stood out to me in Peru, was the state of awe that I felt like I was constantly in. Every direction I looked, I felt like I was either walking through a fairy tale or walking through another world. Like, it was just unbelievable everywhere we went. And the people were so friendly and so helpful and so happy to have tourists there. And yeah, it was just incredible. So I think it's a really special destination to travel to. I think there's lots of opportunities for real cultural immersion. Obviously, the adventure challenge and experience of trekking through the Andes mountain range and along the Inca Trail, and then being able to tick off some really incredible bucket list experiences like seeing Machu Picchu or Rainbow Mountain. Who have we got here? Gosh, am I going to be able to do this? I think I'm going to have to do this from... Okay. Are you in, Mel? Hopefully. Hello, Mel.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I was just in a baby shower and I forgot about the time.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. I am recording, and so if you want to take your screen off, you're welcome to, but just totally up to you.
I'll just listen and I'll take the screen off.
Okay.
Thanks.
I do have a hang on, am I still in presenting mode, or can you see? Okay. Yep. So I'm also showing a slideshow. I'm not sure whether you can see that, Mel, but hopefully you can, because there's some fun pictures in there. Okay, so yeah, Peru, amazing. Just an incredible destination. They do speak Spanish there. That is the official language. However, as is the case for most countries these days, lots of people speak English, and you won't have any issues when it comes to the language. And I think if you're willing to have a go at speaking some Spanish, even if it's just greetings and thank you and please and that sort of thing, it does go a long way. They do appreciate it. And yeah, like, but at the same time, we're going to have local guides for the majority of our trip anyway, and they will be able to do it. Translations and help us with conversation. You guys there? Did I just drop out?
You did drop out, but you're back now.
Yep, you're all good.
Oh, great. Gotta love technology.
You do. And freezing. Which you are frozen now.
What's happening? Is she cut out? Sorry, I haven't got my video on.
No, she's dropped out completely. I don't know. Maybe she just
Oh.
disconnected.
Okay, cool. I'll just sit here and wait.
That's what I thought.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm being really dodgy in driving as well, so I'll put myself on mute.
Oh,
I'm definitely being by the law, so don't worry, it's all good.
Okay, I'm back.
Hi.
Hello.
You are frozen again,
Is the
though.
internet? I am.
You're back now. You keep like freezing and then you disappear for a while and then you come back.
Okay. Well, I've gone to the hotspot, so we'll see. I don't know what's going on with the internet. As is always the case, I never have any luck doing these things because it always seems like something will always go wrong. But
Of course.
It's just technology, don't stress.
I know,
What do
it's
you
so
do?
annoying though.
Yeah.
Like it's just you two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
good.
don't worry.
Okay, let me get back to this. Okay, why? I don't even know why this stupid thing won't go. Oh, there we go. Okay, trip details. So you guys obviously already know what you've signed up for, which is good. So
I'm a little bit worried, but yep, we signed up, that's for sure.
no, you'll be fine. So this is really just an overview of like the trip for anyone who might watch this later and doesn't know what it's about. But yeah, 8th to the 21st of April, 13 nights, 14 days. It includes, the cost includes the accommodation, transport, meals, majority of the meals, activities and transport once we're into the trip. You guys have already booked, so we won't worry about that. Okay, so again, you guys know this because I've already spoken to you about the details of the trip and what's involved in terms of arriving in Lima first and spending a couple of days there. But I would highly recommend that you do that just from the perspective of getting over jet lag before you head into altitude. It's very different for people who live at altitude, but we obviously don't, and it just will help. I guess you enjoy the first few days of the trip more. It's not essential necessarily, but I think you'll enjoy it more if you've got just that little bit of time to, a couple of days just to get over any jet lag in Lima, have a look around, get used to the time zone, and then you'll head into altitude. And if you haven't been at altitude before, it can take a little bit of adjustment, but there are things that you can do once you arrive in Cusco that will help you adjust to that more quickly, and I'll give you information about that prior to the trip. Sorry, Mel, I should have said too, if you have any questions along the way, just unmute yourself and ask anytime.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. In terms of the arrival in Cusco, our trip obviously starts officially on the 8th. I suspect that we will probably will try to fly in that morning so that we've got that little bit of extra time, but we've got a full day in Cusco before we leave Cusco to start our trek. So again, we've got sort of probably 36 hours-ish to get used to some of that altitude. And I think that realistically, you don't want to do too much upon arrival. So like I'd be aiming to get a morning flight from Lima to Cusco so that you've got that day sort of just grounded at that level of altitude, which is like 3,500 meters, which is already pretty high for us Aussies. And then the following day we start sort of getting out into Cusco and having a look around. We do a cooking course and that sort of thing. So I should flick over to the next thing because that's where I'm up to. But as much as if you're anything like me, I'm a shocker for arriving somewhere and wanting to just get out and look at everything and take as much of it in as I can. But I think for as much as you can, try and refrain from doing some of that on the first day, and just go and plan to kind of just enjoy the accommodation. I'll have dinner organised for the first night, which will be close to where we're staying so that we don't have to walk too far, because Cusco kind of sits, like the town square is at the bottom, and then there's you do have to walk up a hill to a lot of the accommodation. And the accommodation that I'm looking at the moment is up a hill, and I'm erring on the side of that accommodation because it's really nice. It's a bit like a B&B, which has sort of homestay vibes rather than a hotel. So I'm looking to, I guess, choose some accommodation that has some authentic local kind of feel as opposed to a hotel. We will stay in some hotels along the way because that's I guess easier and better suited to the different places that we're in. But for Cusco, there's so many great little Airbnbs and that sort of thing that have some really nice vibes. And this one that I'm looking at looks amazing and great views, and it's been highly recommended by a friend of mine. So I'm excited about that, except that it is on a hill. So getting back to the accommodation, if you've been in the main square, can be puffy. So we don't need to rush out to do that. Anyway, so then day 2, we do our cooking class. We'll meet our Trek guide and get a bit of a briefing to find out, exactly what time we have to be up and at it the next day, things that we need to pack in our bags to take with us. So what will happen is you'll arrive in Cusco with all of your things, and then we go off on our however many days it is. I don't even know how many days it is off the top of my head. How many days are we away? It must be maybe 8. And so we don't take everything during that time, because what we do take will need to be carried by the horses that we have on our trek. So we kind of just take what we need for our hiking days, and we've got 2 days where we don't hike, and so something comfortable to wear on those days, but we can kind of leave those extra things. So if you find that you've already bought some souvenirs, or you want to have something, if you want to have a pair of jeans or something to wear while you're in Cusco, but you don't necessarily need that on the hiking days, then you could leave those behind. So it kind of gives you the option to go, I can take something a bit nicer if you want to. You absolutely don't have to, but if you want to, you can. Or if you buy things, you can leave them there and you don't have to worry about carrying them on, which is quite handy. So we will leave some of our gear there, but the Trek guide will give us all that information about things that we need and what we have to get organised for the next day. So then we'll get picked up. We'll head off into the Sacred Valley, which is the spiritual and agricultural heart of the Inca Empire. It's beautiful, as it is everywhere in Peru, but we'll go to an alpaca and llama farm, like they call it a sanctuary, but it's you get to actually see and learn about the difference between the two, and then you end up the rest of the time spotting different animals and going, is that a llama? Is that an alpaca? What's their nose doing? What's their face doing? That's got a long neck. So it's pretty fun. You get to feed them and wander around, and they're all actually hilarious. I don't know if you can see the teeth on the llama in the photo there, but they've got the most enormous buck teeth, and they're quite often at the bottom, and they're just funny animals. And they do spit, so you do have to be careful. But that's good fun, and you see some local women doing their weaving, which is also really cool. But later in the itinerary, we go to another place where we get to see more local women working with their handicrafts as well. I haven't been to that place, but apparently it's really impressive, and that's sort of apparently the place that if you want to buy something, you might, like something traditional, you probably could buy it there. That said, we'll visit lots of different markets and you'll be able to buy things along the way as well. So we'll see some ruins. We'll go to the salt mines, which you can see on the left of the screen, and sort of just make our way through to the town Arambamba. And that's where we'll stay the night before the next day getting up, ready to start our hike or our trek. So I couldn't decide which photos to share of this part of it. This is one of those experiences that I think will live on with you forever. It's people have asked me about this and have, I guess, said, asked about the fitness level, and I know that is a common question or a concern when it comes to doing these sort of activities. And one of the things that I say to people all the time is, for those of us who don't live in altitude and don't live amongst mountains like these, we cannot ever fully prepare for this. But what I would say is that you want to be as fit as you can be. But I think more importantly, you've got to have a willingness to do hard things, and a bit of grit and determination, and a willingness to work together as a team. So when I did the Lares Trek last year, I did it over 2 days, and I think I walked at the back of the pack most of the way, but I had the most exceptional time, and there was there wasn't a great urgency at any point in time to be walking at any particular pace. So, and that part of the reason I chose to do it for my trip over 3 days was to ensure that we had enough time to really enjoy every moment. There were moments on my trip that I did last year where I felt like it was probably a bit, particularly the first day of our hike was a little bit long hiking, and we actually arrived in the dark. But I don't know if you can see the photo at the bottom of me with the tents. That's what I woke up to. So even though I arrived in the dark and I didn't see any of that, when I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible surprise ever, because I didn't see it. But at the same time, how nice would it have been to have arrived at nighttime and being able to sit and enjoy that? So I've gone for a 2-night camping experience, so 3 days trekking, and we're doing the same pass, but we're actually going a bit further than what I did last year, and that's because I think we should finish at the hot springs, because I think that's going to be pretty awesome. So we do 2 full days of trekking. I would recommend that you have good shoes, because it can be slippery. It's the end of the wet season at that point in time, and there are parts that can be slippery. A lot of day one will have a little creek that we'll walk alongside, or creek/river, which is absolutely beautiful. You'll walk past and alongside llamas and alpacas. Often you might see horses along the way as well, because there's lots of little, not lots actually, but there are little villages that consist of one house or 2 houses, and lots of people who live there and work there locally on their farms. So yeah, I guess good footwear is important, but also understand that you don't have to be crazy fit to be able to do this. You do need to have a base level of fitness. You need to have a good level of fitness, but you also need to be willing to just get out there and do it, and know that when you come as part of a group, we're all there to support each other and to do it together. when we reach the summit, that's one of those experiences that, you will just remember forever, and it's exciting and amazing and all the things. You'll be out of breath and all of that, but it'll be well worth it. When I did this similar time of year, we had all sorts of weather in the one day. Like you can see in the photos there, we've got blue sky, we've got cloud, we actually had snow at the very top. So we kind of walked from that morning photo, actually, where I'm there with the tents. We're sort of part way up, and then we walked to the day that I woke up there, we walked to the summit. And from there, we walked, and it just slowly got colder and colder and colder until it was snowing. There was sleet, and there was then snow right up at the summit. And then we came down the other side, and we walked through the clouds and saw glaciers and beautiful lakes and waterfalls. And we had some rain and we had some sunshine and all the things. So good shoes and waterproof jacket and layers are really important. It got down to about -4 degrees at the very top, and that's obviously cold, but you are moving and it does pass because you're not staying at the top. But overnight it does get cold, so thermals for overnight will be comforting for you. So and the other thing that I will recommend to you, like you'll probably have a hydration pack on, but I would almost even recommend, if you have a, not necessarily a hot water bottle, but a bottle like this, like a metal bottle, that you could potentially carry a hot drink in during the day if you wanted to, although they do, like we do get hot drinks at lunch and breakfast, lunch and dinner. But at night time you could put some hot water in it and take it to bed with you as a bit of a hot water bottle. I will probably do that. I was very cold last time, but we weren't actually, I would say, not very well prepared, and we didn't know that was going to be the case. We actually didn't even know that we were sleeping in tents. So it was quite an experience. It was fantastic, but I was cold. So I was grateful that it was only one night. But they provide sleeping bags. You can bring your own, but if you're happy to use theirs, you can. If you just want to bring a silk sack or like a sleeping bag inner, you can do that. But again, you don't need to. They're all washed and really clean. So there's no worry about that. But it just adds a little bit of extra warmth as well. Okay, so we do 2 nights camping, and then we head to this small town called Ollantaytambo, and we're going to spend 2 nights there. So that will be really nice because after 3 days of trekking, you'll want a bit of a break. And this little town has a fortress and local markets and lots of places to eat and just relax. So we're going to do a tour in the morning of the fortress, but then after that you'll have the rest of the day to kind of chill and enjoy, looking around, wandering around, and just taking it all in, I guess, because that'll be, apart from Cusco, that will probably be the first town that you really have time to sort of wander around in. So if you want to sleep in, you can do that. That's sort of your day to rest and relax and do your own thing, or we can do something together depending on how everybody's feeling. The following day we get on the train, so the Peru Rail. I don't have any photos of this actually, but the train has big, like it's a tourist train, so big glass windows on either side and glass ceiling. And it is absolutely spectacular. It's probably one of the best train rides I've ever done. It's one of those train rides that you don't know where to look. It's beautiful. You ride alongside a river and got great views, and it's just spectacular. You just, like, every time you go around a corner, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So we go part of the way there, and the train will stop in the middle of seemingly nowhere. We get off, we cross a bridge, and then we start walking to the Sun Gate, partly along the Inca Trail. People have asked me why we don't do more of the Inca Trail, and my response is really based on what I've been told and the experience that I've had. I thought the Lares Trek was incredible, and that's why I've chosen to do that again. But the Inca Trail, from what I can understand and what the guide actually told me when I was there, was that it's all very similar. So, what you see is very similar, and you can do the Inca Trail for 3 or 4 days and sort of see the same views, whereas the Lares Trek is quite different to the Inca Trail. The other good thing about the Lares Trek, I think, is that it's a really, like, you're walking up mountains, so you're not just walking on a small narrow path the whole way. You've got, which you can do in parts of the Inca Trail. There's lots of switchbacks from the train. When you get off the train, you switch back the whole way up to the trail. And then, it's actually not too bad. It's just the getting to the top part is the challenge. The views are spectacular on the Inca Trail, but the Lares Trek is just something different. So it gives you, I guess, an additional insight into a different part of Peru and what the landscapes can be like. The final part of that trek that day is walking up some very steep cobblestone. Actually, you can see them. You can't really see how steep they are, but those cobblestone steps where I'm at the bottom there with my arms up, that's entering through the Sun Gate, and you come in and overlook Machu Picchu, which the photo in the top right-hand corner there with the sunbeams coming down, that was the view from the Sun Gate, and that was spectacular. It is spectacular. We were lucky enough to be there on a day that was a bit cloudy and a bit rainy, so the beams really penetrating down on that spot, and it was pretty magical, quite incredible, really. So that's really special to do that, and then you just kind of walk in, still being able to look at Machu Picchu or over the top of Machu Picchu, but you sort of walk along the top of a ridge and then down into it, and really that's an opportunity to see Machu Picchu from a place that you don't see if you just go directly from the Machu Picchu tourist town, which is Aguas Calientes, which I'm probably pronouncing incorrectly. We'll stay there that night, but you can get a bus directly up there. But if you walk in through the Sun Gate, then you get that almost kind of bird's eye view, or you get that view from up high looking down into it, which is pretty cool. So, that's something that not everybody does, and that makes it a little bit special too. So, we walk in, we enjoy the views. I think we have to be out of there by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and which is fine because you can sort of start seeing the sun come down a bit and just enjoy it. Oh, somebody's here. Let me just... I'm probably going to get myself confused again in a minute. Okay, hopefully I have just added... Hello, Stace. Welcome. So Stace, I'm recording this. So if you want to switch, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to switch your camera off, that's also fine.
Excellent.
Up to you.
Excellent, thank you.
And now I have to work. I'm being a bit hopeless with my screen and my technology. Okay, can you all still see my screen?
Yes.
Fabulous. Okay, so so we're in the Sun Gate, we're at Machu Picchu, we've enjoyed it, we've seen, the sun going down. It's actually the other thing that's really cool about that is it's the end of the day, and so there's not tons of tourists there. So it's a really nice time to get there and enjoy the view and enjoy the peace, and just, you know, it's that moment you just go, oh my God, did I really just do this? This is really cool. So then we get a bus down to Aguas Caliente, where we're staying for 2 nights. And oops, I'm on thing. Oh gosh, this happened last time. I had to let somebody in. Please tell me you can all still hear me.
I can hear you.
Great. Thank you. Why isn't it going on? All right, let's try this again. Oh dear. Okay. All right, so day 9, we have a day where we go, day 9, we have the day in Aguas Caliente. Again, it's a rest day, a bit like what we will have had in Ollantaytambo. You can sleep in. So at that point in time, we will have walked another full day. So walking up into Machu Picchu, and then you can have the day. You can go get a massage. You can sleep in. You can go to the markets. You can go to the shops. There's little places, like there's a butterfly farm type thing that you can visit from there. There's more hot springs. There's all sorts of things that you can do from that town, but that's another down day essentially, for you to do whatever you want to do, and just enjoy being there. One of the things that I think is really important, and upon reflection of the trip that I did last year, we didn't have a lot of time to just sit and enjoy, and I really wanted to make sure that we did have that this time, where we could just, sit in a cafe, have a coffee in the morning and just watch the world go by, or just enjoy watching the locals, or, it's right, like there's a gushing river that runs right through the town, and that's really beautiful just to sit there and enjoy it. Or if you want to go out and have a beer then, or a pisco sour as their traditional drink, you can do that too. So it's a day just for you to do whatever you want, and also a day to prepare yourself for the following day, which is when we go back to Machu Picchu. So that day we'll get on the bus in the morning, and we'll head to up to, actually I'm just thinking, I think we have 3 nights in Aguas Caliente. Sorry, I said only 2 nights. So we go up to Machu Picchu, and that time we'll be doing a tour and actually walking through the grounds. And we go to different viewing points, and we have a guide who will talk us through all the history and walk us through everywhere. Now, the other thing that we can do on this particular day, if you have a look at the photo in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a very tall mountain behind it, and that is Huayna Picchu, and we can walk up there. So that's another walk that is requires a permit. So we need a permit to get into Machu Picchu. They are limited, which is why we have, booking deadlines so far in advance. They're limited to the point where if they have too many, they will just say, no, you can't come. And same with that Huayna Picchu hike. So that one I was meant to do, but it was closed for walking. I think they were fixing the trail. But there's some very steep steps. And yeah, that's one of those ones that you do if you're up for the challenge. And if you're feeling brave, I'll absolutely do it. And I guess I say that because I'm not great with heights. But it's one of those exceptional views, like, obviously different view looking down at Machu Picchu, but a real physical challenge and probably a bit of a mental game as well. Anyway, look that name up on Instagram, or just even on the internet, and have a look at the pictures. It's pretty awesome, but it's also a bit like, a bit maybe fingernail biting as well. Anyway, that'll be good fun. Okay, so then we stay, so after we look through and we do all of, look through Machu Picchu and we do that walk up Machu Picchu, we go back to Aguas Caliente, and then the next morning we get back on our fancy train, which is going to be, actually you can see there the ceiling of the train there, you can see, and that we go back to Ollanta Tambo, get off there, get back on our private vehicle, and we're going to visit these two places down in the bottom left-hand corner. So one of them is the circular agricultural terraces, which is just a different way of farming and something unique to the area. And then going into that Chinchero village, which is where they do the weaving and the textiles. So they're sort of, particularly that one, I think there is an element of, if you want to buy something, you can buy something here, and, the tour guide might get a kickback. But at the same time, it is one of those places that I think you will see some really authentic work and traditional work as well, and have an opportunity to support the locals in what they do. They make some incredible, they have incredible textiles that you will see throughout the markets everywhere you go. But I guess being able to see them actually doing the work is also pretty cool. Okay, so day 12 and day 13. So we're back staying in Cusco. So we've got 3 nights in Cusco. Day 12 is a free day in Cusco. So again, you can do that however you want to do it. You can sleep in, you can find a cafe to sit in and enjoy. You can go look at different ruins. You can do a day trip from Cusco. There's lots of things to do from there. There's museums, get yourself a massage, whatever it might be. Do some more shopping. There's loads of markets and little, places to discover, and cool little streets. Like I think Peru probably reminds me of a combination of Asia and Europe. So it's got a bit of an Asian vibe, but it's also so historical and full of, beautiful buildings. And it's the kind of place you can just sit and enjoy and immerse yourself in what you're doing. So knowing that when you get back there, you are back at altitude, which I probably should have highlighted, when you actually get to Aguas Caliente and Machu Picchu, you're actually at a lower altitude than what you are at Cusco. So you sort of start at Cusco, and sorry, I'm getting messages here. Just make sure that, nope, that's fine. Can you all still hear me?
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Thought I better make sure because I can't see anyone. So you go from Cusco at, I think it's about 3,000 meters, and then you actually go down when you get to Machu Picchu. So we go up in our hike, and then we come back down again to go to Machu Picchu, and then when we go back to Cusco, we're going up again. So that can, you should be fine, but you should be fine by then. Really, any altitude issues that you have will be early on, and then potentially while you're walking. But as I said, there are things that you can do to help yourself along the way with that, and I will outline those things for you before any of that happens. And also, I guess, just know that our guides actually carry oxygen with them, like an oxygen tank that we can use along the trek as well. So if you are feeling short of breath, there are, we're in the middle of nowhere, but there are supports available along the way, and there's no shame in utilizing it. In fact, I would say if you are feeling unwell, then you just do it anyway. And the other thing that we will have, probably with our group size, we'll probably just have one horse or mule that will be with us as a safeguard as well. And so if you're feeling a bit off, then you can have a ride up part of the mountain too. So they just walk alongside with us. But sometimes it can be enough just to give yourself a break. And I don't know, because I know myself, as you probably all know, I got altitude sickness when I was there last year. And that was probably because I had salmonella from Lima. We won't be going to that cafe, by the way. And by the time I got to Cusco, I was still sick with the salmonella. So I ended up in hospital, but the oxygen did wonders. But when I started walking after that, so I was out on the trek a few days later, and when I started getting a bit puffy, I started getting a bit anxious, like, just worrying that maybe I'm going to be sick again or unwell. But I think if it's not something you're comfortable with or used to, then you may just start feeling a bit anxious. And sometimes just taking a break, like whether it's physically stopping, which there's lots of opportunities to do, or getting on the horse, just to like de-stress, just have a minute, take a break, enjoy the ride. That's also fine. So they're really good with that. The guide that we had, and I'm going through the same company again, he was fantastic. He hung out with me at the back of the line the whole way, and just chatted to me, and it was never an issue. And they were like, all the workers that we had with us were fantastic. It was never an issue if people needed to go slowly or wanted an extra break or needed, it was just it's a real team effort, and everyone supports everyone. That's probably one of the things that I think I would like to emphasize a fair bit, is that I think that in a trip like this, we're all kind of in it together. And the idea is that we all support each other and get each other over the line together as a team. So that's, there will always be times where someone is struggling, and we'll all have our turn of struggling, whether it's walking up the mountain, whether it's food that we're not really into, whether it's feeling homesick or, something. But if we can all kind of rally together and support each other, then it's a really incredible experience. So I sidetracked. But anyway, we're back here in Cusco, and we've got our free day on day 12. And then on day 13, we go to Rainbow Mountain. And you can see some of the photos there. That is the highest point that we will go. That's 5,200 meters in elevation, which is significant. So we do a drive from Cusco. It's actually it's a big day because it's a long time sitting in a vehicle, but it's worthwhile. So it's about a 3-hour drive each way. And so we do get up early in the morning and try and get there before the crowds. And we will also have horses. You can hike, but it is actually a decent hike, and we may not have enough time for that. So I would recommend, unless anybody is particularly adverse to the horse, we get a horse about 3 kilometers up. So you can just sort of acclimatize to that extra level of altitude, and then you get off the horse, and the horses are guided, like you can see that there. You're just walking. Sometimes they get a bit of a trot on, but they are being guided or led by a local, and the local isn't going to run up the mountain, although they could run up the mountain probably far better than we could. So it is really just sort of walking up, again, taking everything in. You can see the views that I had along the way, like the alpacas and the llamas, and then the glacier. And obviously the closer you get to Rainbow Mountain, you start seeing the different colours, which is absolutely incredible. So we've got some time there where we can just get off the horse and walk a bit further up. It's probably only 500 meters or something, but it is very slow because at that point you are very high up. And enjoy the summit, enjoy the views, and then make your way back down to the bus. So we'll just turn around and walk back down. Obviously, walking down is much easier than walking up. And then at the end of that day, we are back in Cusco, and that's our final evening. And then the following day, we will have brekkie together as a group, and then we'll be finished. We'll be finished our trip, which is will be full of amazing memories and selfies with, I think that's an alpaca you can see there. And yeah, lots of memories, new friends, new experiences, new stories to tell. And yeah, I think one of the most incredible experiences that you'll take home from it is the fact that you did it, and it's hard, and you'll feel really good for that. And I know for me, it was a bit of a life-changing experience, having not done a big trek like that for several years, or certainly not since having kids. Yeah, it was one of those things. It was like, oh my gosh, I just did that, and I can still do that stuff. I can do hard things, and that was really cool. So as I said earlier in this webinar chat thing, I talked about the fitness. So the aspect of fitness. Fitness is important, but I think, yeah, a willingness to do hard things, grit, determination, teamwork, all those things. If you are up for all of that, then regardless of how much experience you have in this sort of terrain, you will make it. You've just got to be determined to do it. And there's a whole group of people and the guides and anyone you meet along the way who is cheering you on. It's a pretty special experience to do something really hard and come out the other end knowing that you've done it. And even on the days, like, I'm quite sure that most people shed a tear at some point on my trip. I know I did, because at one point I was it was getting dark, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I just want this to be over. Like, I was just really exhausted. But I did it, and I made it, and then I got to camp, and everyone was there just cheering and like congratulating me and congratulating each other, and that was really nice. And like, I'm so proud of myself for having done it. So I love this photo, and this is actually the photo that I use for all my promos, but it's like a power pose. It's just a whole group of women having just done a really awesome thing. And I think that's what group trips, group travel for women doing this sort of adventurous sort of stuff is all about. Yeah, so if you're up for those things, then I think it's a great trip, and you'll love it. So some of the boring stuff, it is like, this stuff is in the itinerary and information, but the accommodation is twin or double share, but mostly twin, unless you've opted for that, or the single occupancy. The accommodation is comfortable, typically 3 or 4 star, but tents on the trek. I said earlier on too, with the accommodation, I'm primarily looking for, I guess, authentic, real, local character, rather than flashy hotels. So if you're into luxury accommodation, then this is not your trip. Yeah, obviously tents on the trek. Most of the meals are included. English-speaking local guides throughout the whole trip. I've included that, so we do tip the guides, the horsemen, the trek cooks, so they do all the cooking for us, which is amazing. So they kind of go ahead of us each day and set up camp. They set up tents and everything, marquees for us to sit in for lunch, and then we eat and we start walking, and then they pack everything up, and then they'll pass us on the trek, and then they'll get there and they'll set up camp. So they set up our tents and set up for dinner, feed us, and then we all sleep, and then they wake up and they cook breakfast, and then we eat, and then we go and they pack up. And so we don't have to do any of that. We just carry what we want to carry for the day. So you might have your own special snacks that you like to eat while you trek, like a rain jacket, water, that sort of thing, which we get water along the way. So they boil the water and make sure that it's fine for us to drink. So we have plenty of water. I do say bring your own snacks if there's specific things that you like to have, but they will have bits and pieces for us as well. We're fed really well. If you've got dietary requirements, that's something that they can cater for in the most part. So it's just, if you do, just let me know and we can make sure that that'll be fine. But yeah, so we do tip all those people, but that I've included that tip in the overall cost. So that's something that I will cover on the day. There might be times where I have to say, here you go, you give these people this money. Like when we go on our horses up to Rainbow Mountain, each of us will have to give money to our leader, the person leading our horse. And I will just say, yeah, like you guys have covered that, so you don't need to worry about that. You definitely need travel insurance. That is a non-negotiable. I use Covermore. They've currently got a sale on at the moment, 15% off. And I used them last year. I was in hospital with salmonella poisoning and altitude sickness, and they were on the phone to me within the hour, checking in to see if I was okay, to see if they could do anything. And then when I got home, I did have to pay for the treatment at the time, and the medication, which I think was about $800, I think, from memory. To be honest with you, I didn't ask whether they could cover it at the time. I just wanted to get out of the hospital, so I just paid it. But as soon as I put my claim in, I had the money back within days. So, yeah, I will go. I'm going with them again. And if you want any information about that, I can send that through. Bookings close the end of September, unless the trip is sold out earlier. Okay, so questions. Who has a question? Does anybody have questions or comments or anything that they would like to know about? Are you all still here?
Still here.
Still here. Any questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back to, oh my gosh, how do I do this?
What is the group capped at?
Okay, I'm back. Maximum of 12 people. Currently, we have 4 of us, so I'm not expecting to have 12 people.
Is it still going to go ahead with just 4? Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, we're definitely going. Yeah, like I think, and so Carly, my sister, who isn't here, she's on a plane to somewhere, Brisbane, I think, at the moment. She's coming along, and she's done part of the trip before as well. And so, yeah, she's kind of going to help me out as well if we need extra people. But I would be surprised if we have 12 people. If we do, that's great. But, yeah, we're going anyway.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yep.
Any absolute essentials that you'd recommend, like something that you just absolutely, you wish you had but you didn't take last time, or something that you did take and you thought, I'll definitely take that again?
Yes. I definitely wish I had thermals overnight.
Yep.
On the camping, which I was wearing. Like, I didn't have thermals. And then all of a sudden it was snowing. I was like, oh. So, yeah, I would definitely have thermals. And, I mean, I had a rain jacket, so that was fine. But, yeah, like things like I kind of had things like gloves and a beanie, but didn't really – and I wear a beanie quite a bit, but I didn't think I was going to need the beanie. I thought it was just going to be a comfort thing, and I, wear them as a comfort thing. But definitely layers that would keep me warm. and probably even like if you've got a decent poncho or something like that that you can throw over that fits your little day pack under, that would be helpful, because if it does rain, you then have all your stuff. Like I had my puffer in a snap lock bag, because I'd stuffed that on the outside of my day pack and I didn't have anything to protect it from the rain. So if you've got a backpack with a shield, that would be fine. But I guess just like thinking about some of those sort of things, be prepared for any kind of weather, like have a visor or a hat, like a sun hat, but also have, warm things as well. They were probably the main things I just wasn't prepared for, was the cold conditions. Have a power bank battery, like a spare battery pack sort of thing for your phone, because we'll be out for 3 days without power. So if you have anything that you need charging, a torch, like a head torch or something. It was probably the camping stuff was probably everything about that was probably where we weren't particularly well prepared. At the same time, you don't necessarily need to have anything fancy, or you don't need anything fancy. You just need to be comfortable. So having the things that are going to keep you comfortable and happy. Even like I know that you don't want to load the horses up with all your stuff, but even just having a different pair of shoes to put on, like at the end of hiking for the day, if you've got like a soft pair of, or a lightweight pair of shoes that you can put on with some woolen socks, that might just be nice to have a change, particularly if your feet get wet, which ours did, like very wet and very muddy. And and obviously they are luxuries, but they're luxuries that can make or break a trip, particularly if you're out for 3 days and it's raining potentially for 3 days, which obviously we don't want it to be, but if it is, then you want to make sure that you've got dry clothes and little creature comforts to put on and to have at the end of the trip. That makes sense.
What about yeah, it does, definitely. What about shoes? Like, is basic runners enough, or do you recommend some trail shoes? Or
yeah, I wore trail shoes, and that's what I will wear again. I think either hiking boots or trail shoes, like something with a bit of grip, is good. You're kind of walking on a range of grounds, like surfaces. You'll be walking on sand, you'll be walking on rocks, like big rocks, and also pebbles, like gravelly sort of trails. You'll be walking probably through mud, because it is the end of the wet season. The wet season will be over, but potentially, it could still be wet. So whatever you're comfortable, like I wear trail shoes, I don't wear hiking boots, and they were completely fine. But I would probably say waterproof, whatever that is, whatever you choose for your feet, just make sure they're waterproof.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And obviously break them in a little bit before
Definitely
you go. Yeah. Comfort is important. And I would also say, depending on what you prefer to walk in, like in terms of shorts versus leggings or long pants, I would probably recommend long pants, because it does get cold.
Okay.
But you could have shorts and then change into them, just having whatever, having a backup is, if you're going to, yeah. I did have shorts. I didn't wear them. I was going to wear them, and I'm very glad I didn't wear them, because I would have been freezing. Yeah, and I guess the other thing that is just good to know is that there aren't necessarily toilets along the way. So there's a lot of, squatting bushwees. We do have a toilet for overnight at the campsite, but it's, throw a bucket of water kind of flushing situation. Stacey looks stoked
on your face, Stace.
Any other questions?
I don't think so from me.
No.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'll send it through to you, Stacey, so you can see the start of it. And if you have, as I said, if you've got any questions or concerns or just want to talk any of it through, just let me know.
Yeah.
Happy to.
I'll come for
happy
a
to
visit.
help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to help with any of it.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks
See
for
you.
coming.
Righto. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.